China is not one country. It is many countries layered on top of each other, buried beneath rivers, walls, and bones. Stand in any modern Chinese city, and you see glass towers, bullet trains, neon streets. But rewind 5,000 years, and you find floodplains, scattered villages, and a problem that will define everything that comes after water. The Yellow River doesn't gently flow. It explodes. It shifts course. It drowns entire communities without warning. The first Chinese civilization doesn't rise because the land is kind. It rises because people learn to fight the land and survive it. This story is not about emperors alone. It is about endurance. War, famine, rebellion, and rebirth, again and again. You are about to witness thousands of years of history compressed into one journey. A civilization that collapses and reforms so many times it forgets how many lives it has lived. Let's go back to where it begins. The earliest dynasties leave behind more questions than answers. The Xia are more legend than fact, a half-visible shadow at the edge of history. By the time the Shang rule around 1600 BC, China is already a world of kings, armies, and ritual. Cities rise behind rammed earth walls. Bronze weapons shine in firelight. Kings speak to the dead through oracle bones, carving questions into turtle shells. Power is sacred and violent. When the Shang fall, the Zhou replace them and introduce an idea that will echo for millennia. Heaven grants the right to rule, and heaven can take it away. The mandate of heaven turns rebellion into destiny. If floods come, if famine spreads, if the people suffer, then the ruler must have failed. Overthrow becomes moral. Centuries pass. Kingdoms fracture into warring states. Armies number in the hundreds of thousands. Iron weapons replace bronze. Philosophy blooms in chaos. Confucius teaches order, duty, family. Laozi whispers about balance and nature. Sun Tzu writes about war as deception. China is not united, it is sharpening itself. Then one state wins. In 221 BC, Qin Shi Huang declares himself the first emperor. He crushes rival kingdoms. He standardizes writing, roads, weights, and laws. China becomes one body with one ruler. He builds highways across mountains and canals through plains. And he builds walls, connecting fortifications that will one day become the Great Wall. Unity is brutal. Books are burned. Scholars are buried alive. Millions are forced into labor. When he dies, his tomb is guarded by an army of clay soldiers, each face unique, frozen in silence. Within years, the Qin collapse under the weight of their own control. Out of their ashes rises the Han. For 4 centuries, the Han Dynasty turns China into an empire. Silk flows west along trade routes that will become the Silk Road. Ideas move with it. So do diseases and invaders. Confucianism becomes the spine of government. Officials are chosen for knowledge, not blood alone. Paper is invented. History is written. Maps are drawn. China looks outward and inward at the same time. But empires rot from within. Court politics decay. Rebellions explode. The Yellow Turban Uprising spreads like wildfire. By 220 AD, the Han fall and China fractures again. The next centuries are fog. Kingdoms rise and vanish. Northern invaders pour in from the steppes. Entire populations move south. Buddhism arrives and spreads through caves and mountains. Monks carve Buddhas into cliffs. War becomes normal. Survival becomes culture. Unity returns under the Sui, briefly, violently. They build the Grand Canal, linking north and south. It feeds cities and armies. It is an engineering miracle paid for in blood. The Sui collapse, but the canal remains. And then comes the Tang. The Tang Dynasty is a golden age. Chang'an becomes the largest city on earth. Traders arrive from Persia, India, Arabia. Poetry is written by candlelight. Music fills palace halls. Women ride horses through the streets. China becomes confident, cosmopolitan, powerful. But power attracts disaster. In 755, a general named An Lushan rebels. The war kills millions. Cities burn. Fields turn to dust. The Tang survive, but the wound never heals. What follows is division again. 5 dynasties, 10 kingdoms, short-lived courts, and endless conflict. Then the Song rise. They rule with bureaucracy, commerce, and technology. Printing spreads knowledge. Gunpowder changes warfare. Cities swell with markets and bridges and tea houses. But while the Song grow rich, enemies grow strong. From the north come the Mongols. Mongol horsemen tear across Asia. They destroy cities that resist. They spare those that surrender. By 1279, China is conquered. Kublai Khan rules from Beijing. The Yuan dynasty connects China to a world empire. Marco Polo walks its roads. But foreign rule breeds resentment. Floods and famine return. Rebels gather under red banners. They overthrow the Mongols. They raise a new dynasty, the Ming. The Great Wall is rebuilt in stone. Massive fleets sail into the Indian Ocean. The Forbidden City rises in Beijing, a palace of gates and courtyards sealed from the world. China looks strong, controlled, eternal. But isolation grows. Pirates raid the coast. Silver floods in from Spanish America. Corruption spreads. In 1644, the Manchu invade. The Ming fall. The Qing take their place. Under the Qing, China reaches its largest size. Population explodes past 300 million. Art flourishes, porcelain, painting, literature. But the world is changing faster than China can see. European ships arrive with cannons and opium. Trade turns into addiction. War turns into humiliation. China loses battles to tiny foreign fleets. Ports are seized, cities are carved into concessions. Inside, rebellion erupts. The Taiping Civil War kills tens of millions. Heaven has withdrawn its favor. By the start of the 20th century, the dynasty collapses. The emperor is a child. The throne is empty. The republic is weak. Warlords rule provinces. Japan invades. Cities are massacred. The countryside starves. Two forces fight for China's future, nationalists and communists. In 1949, one side wins. The People's Republic of China is born. The old world is shattered. Land is seized. Class enemies are hunted. Tradition is attacked. During the Cultural Revolution, temples burn. Books vanish. Families turn on each other. Millions suffer. Then the country changes again. Markets return. Factories rise. Villages become mega-cities. Skyscrapers replace rice fields. Highways slice through ancient towns. China becomes something it has never been before. Ancient and industrial. Communist and capitalist. It remembers emperors while building artificial islands in the sea. It has fallen to nomads, rebels, and foreign powers. It has survived famine, invasion, and civil war. It has always returned, reshaped but unbroken. This is not the story of one dynasty. It is the story of a pattern. Rise, collapse, rebuild, over and over. The same rivers, new rulers, the same people. Modern China does not rise quietly. It erupts. Cities turn into concrete forests. Shanghai's skyline climbs higher each year. Trains cross the country at the speed of aircraft. Factories glow through the night. Villages empty. Millions move toward light and opportunity. But speed has a cost. Memory struggles to keep up. Ancient streets vanish under highways. Old neighborhoods disappear into glass. Where emperors once rode, office workers now march in lines. Yet the past never fully disappears. It waits in language, in food, in ritual. Ancestors are still honored. Festivals still follow the moon. Lanterns glow under neon skies. China's modern story is tension between control and chaos, between pride and fear, between tradition and ambition. Surveillance replaces city walls. Data replaces drums and bells. The tools are different. The goal is ancient. Stability, unity, survival. The outside world watches closely. China trades with everyone, competes with everyone. Cargo ships leave its ports every hour. Satellites orbit above it. A civilization built on rivers now shapes oceans. But history never leaves quietly. The Yellow River still floods. Earthquakes still split cities. Pandemics still silence streets. Crisis awakens old instincts. Discipline, fear of disorder, memory of collapse. Every disaster tests legitimacy. Every failure echoes heaven's judgment. China's story is not a line. It is a pulse. Expansion and contraction, confidence and collapse. Qin unity dies in terror. Han order rots in corruption. Tang power breaks in rebellion. Song innovation falls to conquest. Yuan rule is rejected. Ming walls close doors. Qing size becomes weakness. The republic fractures. The communists reshape by force. Each believed they were the end. Each became a footnote. What endures is the land and the people bound to it. Farmers who survived floods, merchants who crossed deserts, scholars who saved books while cities burned, families who rebuilt after ruin. Borders have shifted, capitals have moved, rulers have changed faces, but the rhythm remains. Crisis, consolidation, chaos, structure, collapse, reinvention. Today, China stands at another turning point. It carries history and speed at once. It builds islands and temples, launches rockets and restores walls, teaches code and classical poetry. It looks forward, haunted by what came before. From river villages to walled cities, from horsemen to high-speed rail, from oracle bones to digital screens, this civilization has been invaded, divided, humiliated, and reborn. So many times that survival becomes tradition. China does not simply exist. It persists. Through emperors and rebels, through famine and fortune, through silence and revolution. It has learned one lesson better than any other: to change without forgetting who it is. And the story continues, not as an ending, but as another rise in a cycle thousands of years old. The same rivers, new rulers, the same people. Thanks for staying on this journey through China's transformation from floodplain villages to global power. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's oldest civilizations, support the channel by liking and subscribing. And tell me which civilization you want next. As always, we'll see you in the past.